He's a bitter man.
Let's mix it all together. Get on the brilliant Jamie Douglas.
I got a dodgy vagina delivery from a German girl a few years ago. I went to the doctor. He just said, "Don't worry, it's just a little thrush." I've always wanted to do a gig in the hurricane scene at the start of Wizard of Oz. Toto's falling asleep down there already. Has anyone noticed how Dave can go down into like a pipe in the sewer and appear on a roof? Like Super Noodle Mario. Right, my family, I don't sound it, my family thinks I'm quite posh now. Because I'm essentially middle class now. I don't really have the values, but you know, I have a white collar job. And my family are not, they're from the northeast and they're not really like working class, they're the one below that, complete scum. And you know, you remember like, when you're at university there's this idea like the bank of mum and dads. I don't know if you heard of this, so like, you know, run a bit low, bank of mum and dad, get 20 quid out, happy days. My parents used to ring me to lend money, so the bank they were was like a branch of Northern Rock in 2008, basically. Okay, I can't do any more bailouts, guys, come on, sort your life out. My family, it's less with them like too big to fail and more too stoned to work. They kind of have the work ethic of that, the cardboard cut-out policeman in Home Bargains, who, when they get stoned enough, think it's real and it kind of scares them off the shop. I've got a brother and sister, they're quite chavvy. You know, I like books and they like drugs. And I ended up in a drug den and they have families and stuff, so, you know, it didn't work out that well for me. But yeah, so like one sample of my middle classness now is I went out the other day and we spent £50 on dinner. Like, I just paid that. The bill was like pretty scary, but I managed to get the cheapest dinner, so it was quite good. Thanks, Tom. And I told my family that and they thought it was insane, but they wouldn't fucking blink at the idea of paying £50 for a packet of Coke on like every Friday, mainly because they cannot blink. Yeah, so I am basically middle class now, but I like to think I've stayed true to my working class roots. You know, I work for a uni and stuff. And I remember the other day I was going to Waitrose on the Camembert run. And I was thinking how working class I still am. And a homeless guy came up to me and he says, "Have you got any change?" Is generally what they say. And I, what the fuck's going on there? And I say, "Oh, sorry." This is when I realised I was no longer working class. Guys, come on. All I had in my wallet was a €10 note from my trip to Estonia, which I offered him, and he refused. So, you know, they can be choosers. The exchange rate's great, guys, as well. Fucking get on it. Who would have thought homeless people wouldn't know about exchange rates? I just ad-libbed that, isn't it good? Yeah, so I work in a kind of white-collar job. I work remotely. I essentially have the work ethic of the amber traffic light. In that, you know, I turn up to work, but the green and the red guy, they're doing all the work. But the managers there, so, you know, these middle management types in white-collar jobs, they have the work ethic of a lollipop man. So the lollipop men, generally the crossing is a zebra crossing, and they pretend like they're doing the work, like, look, they stopped because of me, not because of the zebra. And I'm the zebra, like, doing the work, and yeah. So I had a few, you know, dodgy bosses over the years, and one was really quite dumb. So he was really into conspiracy theories, which I think are just horoscopes for men. It helps you avoid people. It's really good. So I would tell him like I'm a bit of a blagger. I got that from my parents. So when COVID struck, I didn't think, oh fuck, I have to stay in a house for 2 years, for something that can now be cured with fucking Lemsip. I thought, oh, anytime I want a week off now, I just phone up and say I've got COVID. Happy days. But my boss is a conspiracy theorist, so I rang him up and said, I've got COVID, mate. I can't log in. I'll just stay in bed here. And he said, oh no, it's fake, mate. It's made up by the government. Get yourself on that fucking laptop and start taking calls. So I was like scrambling for excuses to not work. I was like, I was caught up in the Sandy Hook massacre in 2012. It's like, no, that was all paid actors, mate. No, you can't get me that easily. And so I just told him I walked past the 5G tower and was feeling had a bit of a headache. And he said, yeah, that's fine, mate. Take as long as you need. I had one woman, Caroline. The kind of person who will offer to make you a cup of tea at work and then come back in 20 seconds with a fully made cup of tea. And this is going to be really shit. So she was quite, let's say, a fairly simple woman. And so we have some foreign clients, I should explain. And we had a call from a client in Belgium coming through, and she started shouting out, does anyone speak Belgian? To which I replied, no one in the world speaks Belgian, because it doesn't exist. And it blew her little brain that a country could exist and have more than one language, and that the language apparently wasn't called after the country. So I was dropping some knowledge. I'm quite, I wasted a few years at university, and I said, in Switzerland they speak 4 languages. Can you guess what they are? She started off pretty strong. English, some people speak English there, but not official. French, that was one. Swahili. Argentinian. And my personal favourite, Swiss. And if that doesn't make you feel smarter about yourself, I don't know what will. I touched on my family a little bit earlier, not literally. I don't think. I wanted to talk about my dad. It was an interesting character. I don't know if you remember, have you ever met anyone who's sort of kind of older guy, it's always a guy, and they'll talk about their childhood and it was so safe and people hugged like Lollipop Man and the BBC was really reputable and everything was safe, there wasn't stabbings and stuff. To which I always reply, okay, my dad grew up in the 60s and 70s and he stabbed people, so that slightly undermines your argument. But yeah, that wasn't the weirdest thing my dad did. So my dad was actually, for a brief period, a pimp. And I know you're thinking like a pimp is kind of like an elegant, like well-dressed, like black American dude, not some kind of Glaswegian golem. But yeah, my dad did do it. You can kind of think of him as a wingman who could arrange for you to get syphilis and then charge you for it. The 50 Cent Pimp song, do you know that song, P.I.M.P? There's a version with my dad on it. It goes, I don't know what you heard about me, but a bitch can't get $1 out of me. No Cadillac, no perms, you can't see. But you might want to get yourself checked out for the HIV. But having a pimp for a dad, having a pimp for a dad, where was going on? Was quite useful in certain aspects of my life. So I don't even remember that game when you're a kid in the schoolyard. Like, my dad earns more than your dad. My dad has a bigger car than your dad. Well, I would just walk up and say, well, my dad was a pimp, and I would win every time. And I often wonder what that'd be like now. My dad recycles more than your dad. My dad has a smaller carbon footprint than your dad. Well, I have 2 mums, and they kick the shit out of your dad. I don't know why I looked at Lynn there for that one, but it's tough. You can be my mum if you want that. I probably already knew that. I don't know why I went down this route. Yeah, I'll leave it there. And just because I heard a mention of black privilege earlier, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents on this one. I don't feel like white men are consulted enough about racism, you know. I feel like we haven't had our shot. So, like, for example, I have an uncle who I'll come back to black privilege next year. No, will I? Yeah, so I'll do the black privilege bit. So, if for example, I'm a white guy, as you can tell from the stuttering, and if I have a kid and call him, you know, or call her Faith or Blessing, then I'm a stupid chav, and correctly so. But if a black dude has a kid and calls him Prince or Wisdom, then he's just Nigerian. And if you laugh at that, you're a racist, because Prince is a Ghanaian name. So I won't be laughed at by a bunch of racists. I just want to end on this one, because it's kind of topical. So I have one uncle who, you know, is a racist dickhead, basically. And he had a Sikh Gurdwara being built around, Sikh temple being built around the corner from his house. And his reply to this was, "You don't see us going to fucking India and building churches, do you?" And what the fuck do you think the British Empire was? And I was like, there's a downgrade, isn't it? The British Empire to the Commonwealth. It's like, sorry about the fucking colonialism and that, guys. Here's a shit version of the Olympics in Birmingham. We even. I've got tickets actually, so I'm supporting that. But yeah, if anyone wants to come to the wrestling with me, I've got 3 spare tickets, and I need to sell them. I will give them away for a very good price, and that is my shameless plug for this set. Thank you very much.
Give it up for the brilliant Jamie Douglas. Absolutely brilliant.